Thanks, it's good to be here today. Let me get the clickers going. Let me give you a word about Evolve 24. It will be set the context for the rest of what I'll talk about. I'm Vice President of Research and Development at Evolve 24. We're a global market intelligence firm that provides research, business analytics, and research services to large corporations through the integrated analysis of social and traditional media. We provide an integrated enterprise platform that's based on real-time document aggregation, the extraction of smart content through processing and analytics, a deep understanding of our audience segments, and we look to leading indicators of market shifts, risks, opportunities, and prediction. In this talk, I'm going to go over briefly our approach, the concepts of reputation and risk and how we measure them, but I primarily want to focus on 3 case studies of how we have used smart content to help our clients make smart business decisions. Our approach is straightforward, using many of the tools that have been discussed this morning. Number 1 is document aggregation. It sounds simple. In reality, it's very complex, especially when you try and go global, try and become comprehensive, try and become really fast at doing it. We tend to get documents into our system, processed, tagged, analyzed, deduplicated, the junk removed within a handful of seconds. Second is data processing. We like to cast a wide net so that we can capture, so that our reach in terms of covering content is very broad, and then we turn to deduplication and elimination of the irrelevant material through first and second gate strings in our system. This takes a lot of processing horsepower. Third is analytics and semantic tagging. We use entity extraction. We have a custom reputation algorithm that I'll describe in a moment. We have a risk algorithm that I will describe in a moment. We apply sentiment at the level of the document, at the level of each named entity, and we apply reputation to the topics and issues that we identify within these stories. And we use that information to provide insights and to guide our clients in strategy and decision making. We have a user interface that we believe, to use the terms I think from John this morning, that helps users engage in a dialogue with the information. This is highly customizable to the business unit, to the work group, to the individual users at multiple levels. Some users want high-level summaries, some users want tremendous detail and the ability to dive deep down into the information and explore, engage in, converse with, if you want, the documentation. Let me begin with corporate reputation. Corporate reputation is a collective representation by stakeholder audiences of a firm's past actions, results, and communications. Again, it's a collective representation, individuals and groups, about future behaviors of an organization, and thus determines the relationship between the organization and its stakeholders. It is future-looking. We can't know about it. We can understand it in the past and the present, project it to the future. We do know that corporations that routinely monitor, measure, and evaluate the reputation risk and the drivers of reputation risk among specific stakeholder audiences will be able to identify opportunities and threats, develop action plans, and support the achievement of desired business outcomes. Used to be easy in a more central command and control environment. As we all agree, it's in a network world, corporations must realign or reorient their efforts to do a lot more listening, to do it more quickly, and to do it more smartly. By understanding through content analytics the leading indicators of opinion trends to a company, companies can take steps to gain a competitive advantage and protect themselves from risk. You know, at its simplest, where's corporate reputation comes from company actions and company words. We can break that down, be more meaningful, to say actions, it's what corporations do, for example, what a company does in a community where it has a facility. And it comes from the customer experience, because most of us interact with a company as consumers. It also comes from words. It's what they say about themselves, and it's what is said about them, which in a social media world, we'll all agree, becomes critically important. If we want to make it more detailed with a few feedback arrows, we can break it down even farther. And we Our reputation algorithm, to take it to its simplest, is based on reach, whether it's of a newspaper or a blog or a tweet. It's based on relevance to an audience. It's based on credibility of the media outlet to an audience. It's based on sentiment, and it's based on some of the message content that's relevant to a company and to the formation of opinion in that business domain. Why does corporate reputation matter? Well, strong corporate reputation becomes a capital asset, a resource that they can manage. It can be a sustainable competitive advantage, and it can be an intangible that affects stock price. There is a small but compelling set of research studies, statistical research studies. There's a lot of fluff out there, but there is a small set of studies that do show a statistical relationship between corporate reputation and certain business outcomes. Reputation can positively affect stock performance. It can improve the financial performance of a company. It can attract investment. It can lower the long-term cost of capital. An area where I feel it's extremely important is dampening risk. It can help attract customers and support growth, and intangibles lead to a sustainable competitive advantage. Many people wonder, how can we link the media in the broadest sense of the term with corporate reputation? Well, we can turn to agenda setting theory. It was developed in the area of political science, has applications elsewhere. It's a scientifically validated link between a company's reputation in the media and its reputation. It was developed in 1968 by two political scientists, Maxwell McCombs and Donald Shaw at the University of North Carolina. It's been validated in over 400 field research studies. It's probably closer to 600 now. It's been validated in experimental studies, and Professor Craig Carroll, professional friend of the University of North Carolina, has extended it to corporate reputation. This allows us to go from news media, and as we're demonstrating in some of our research to be published, social media, to the equivalent of getting a handle on public opinion of corporate reputation. Just one example that we have done, I bring it because we have completed the analysis, because it's will be published soon. We were able to model, with the collaboration of a research partner at the University of Minnesota, the relationship between public opinion about the economy and the consumer sentiment index. You would think that opinion of the views of the health of the economy and consumer sentiment would be determined a lot more by prices at the grocery store, at the gas pump, and whether you got a bonus or a pay raise, or whether your neighbor just got laid off. In fact, we were able to get an extremely good model with an R-squared above 0.85 for the statisticians in the crowd of the consumer sentiment index over a 40-year time range. On the left, in the blue shaded area, that was the data we used to develop the model. On the right, in the red area, was the holdout data set that we used to test our model. And this is just based on a couple of news media sources. I talked about risk. What is risk? Decision sciences research shows that the best decisions people make include both a cognitive element, but there's also an important emotional element. We include that in risk. Risk is a state of uncertainty where some of the possibilities involve a loss, a catastrophe, or other unknown outcome. Risk also deals with the future, the unknown, and this is where emotions come into play. Evolve 24 worked with a team of academic neurolinguists to develop a 19-dimension model of risk. At its simplest, we have 19 factors. I will show you some examples later. And they developed a linguistic model that allows us to look at the intensity of discussion around a topic. We pair that with reputation analysis to give our clients insight into the directions that they might consider going. How can clients manage using this? On the left, we have what a company says about itself. This is what they control, or at least they think they control, what they think they need to do to build relationships with audiences. In the middle is the information that the audiences and publics are exposed to by the traditional media, by social media, by word of mouth. This leads to opinion formation. And on the right are what stakeholders say about a company. This could be support for or opposition to the relationships they might build with a company. Let me now move into 3 case studies where I will show how we actually have used smart content analysis to advise clients in important business decisions. The first case is a leading mutual fund company. They were faced with a paradox. Cash inflows to the industry peers over a period were soaring, their own were dropping. There was a significant cash outflow from the client company over a 6-year period. Now, management was quite convinced that fund performance was the only thing that mattered. So what did they do in their marketing communications? They pushed fund performance, fund performance. Finally, they came to Evolve 24 and asked us to look at whether we could identify any relationships that might be valuable to them. We did a regression analysis. We did a content analysis of information in the news media, on financial blogs, and other financial information online. In the green line, ending here, in the green line, which is trending up here, you see cash inflows into the sector. In the magenta line going down over a long period of time, you see cash flows into the mutual fund. And in the blue line, you see the company reputation calculated according to our reputation algorithm. We brought in an economist used to doing time series modeling to do a reputation analysis. And certainly financial performance and financial indicators were, in the regression model, the primary drivers of cash inflows into the fund. But he did find a statistically significant relationship of reputation of fund management. So the fund made some changes. The R squared was 0.74, which we considered to be a pretty good model. They decided to change their marketing communications program to include not only the performance of the company, but to emphasize company history, company management, strength of company management. Over the next 6 months, they had the largest 6-month inflow of cash inflow into in company history, and this was adjusted for inflows into the fund sector as a whole. They also found positive performance, positive reputation would put you in the upper quartile of mutual funds. If you had a bad reputation and positive performance, it would drop you down compared to the other funds. But if you had a high reputation and positive fund performance, that wasn't, and bad fund performance, that wasn't good enough. In other words, the cost of entry was having good fund performance, but having a good reputation as a mutual fund company would boost you up into would boost your investment results over time. Let me talk about a second case in the pharmaceutical industry. Our client, a major pharmaceutical company, was facing an FDA-ordered recall of a branded nutritional product for children. The company, of course, was seriously concerned. They wanted to use content analytics to listen to stakeholders, to organize and share information across the enterprise so that they as a business could respond to customers properly no matter what division they were in. They wanted to understand stakeholder opinions, both cognitive messages and opinions and emotions and risk factors. They wanted to identify influencers to whom they could reach out. They wanted to understand opportunities and threats. They certainly wanted to engage and communicate, but they honestly, seriously wanted to fix the problem. Whenever you get medical recalls, people can end up doing really stupid things based on misinformation, and the company wanted to get accurate, complete information out as quickly as possible where it was necessary. On this chart, which absolutely wowed their senior management, the x-axis is visibility, essentially reach of the various, not only traditional print publications, but blogs, Twitter. The vertical axis is sentiment. Notice in the upper right you have two very important stakeholder groups, government regulators, particularly at the FDA, and retailers. Interesting. They were being both highly visible and also very positive. They wanted to reassure consumers, to get information out, so they were saying good things. The lower right, interestingly, were journalists. they were the ones who were, particularly in their blogs, expressing the most negative information. In the lower left, which was the lowest favorability, but for the company, fortunately, also the lowest visibility, we have health groups, consumer groups, and parents, not surprisingly. And in the upper left, which was lower visibility but higher favorability, positivity, we had doctors and medical professionals. Having seen who's talking, we went down one layer to look what they were saying. Straightforward, informative, but extremely useful. The health organizations, remember, who were in the lower left, were saying, hey, share information, that's what we need. Similarly, the consumer groups were saying, open information access. This was giving the company a clear direction to head. The medical professionals were saying, we need to reassure parents, this is not going to kill your children. This is a problem, we know how to handle it, it will be dealt with. And parents, who were also on the negative side in the lower left, were expressing concern that they were having loss of trust in the company, they were worried about safety, they were worried about quality, and they were worried about price. Now these are the more rational elements that feed into our reputation model. These are the top 5 of 19 risk factors. The news of this recall hit, I believe, on a Tuesday afternoon, so by Wednesday it hit the full news cycle. Vulnerability, dread, irreversibility, lack of control, and untrustworthiness. Let me tell you what each of these is using a quote from somebody along the way, if I can find the page. Okay. We also looked in particular at social moms, what mommies who were mommy bloggers were saying. We expected them to be much more negative. You can see in the pie chart that they were primarily neutral. You can see in the upper right chart, the light blue chart line is the reputation index over time. You can see it was going up and then it ran over the edge. But the orange line is the social mothers. They were not having a big effect, so we didn't have to worry about them too much. It was interesting, their emotional drivers were a little bit different. Uncertainty was the number one issue. They weren't against the company, they weren't fearing things too much, they just wanted information. Let me wrap up there. Okay, so I've shown 2 cases where we used smart content to help our clients drive smart business decisions. And be glad to answer a few questions either now or at the end of the day. Okay? All right. Well, thank you. Good, thank you.